Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Karen.
We are Retired Young.
Glacier Bay is located in the intercoastal area of southeast Alaska. There's a lot of glaciers in southeast Alaska. The Alaska Almanac estimates Alaska has 100,000 glaciers. In 1794, Captain George Vancouver was charting the waters. He described what we now call Glacier Bay as a small indentation in a gigantic glacier that stretched off to the horizon. In other words, all of Glacier Bay was a glacier. By the time John Muir came in 1879, the glacier had retreated 40 miles. Today it has retreated 65 miles, all the way up to Margerie Glacier. There seems to be four main ways to explore Glacier Bay. The first way, and the most popular way, is on the deck of a cruise ship. Here's a cruise ship in front of the Margerie Glacier. The cruise ship helps give some perspective on just how big the glacier is. The Park Service limits the number of cruise ships entering the bay during the peak season to 153. No more than 2 ships allowed per day. The cruise lines had to submit proposals, and 4 of the cruise lines were awarded the contract for the next 10 years. The second way to explore Glacier Bay, and kind of at the other end of the spectrum, is by kayak. Kayakers need to register with the Park Service and attend a camper orientation, which is held at the Visitor Center. Kayakers can get dropped off or picked up by the daily tour boat. We were in the boat that picked up this group of 4. They were very excited and very happy to be back on the boat. One of the couples got engaged while they were out there. They were out for 7 days. Karen said she needed to just get off this boat for a little bit, so she went off on shore. Unfortunately, the boat took off without her. The good news is that someday Retired Young will have a first-hand account on what it's like to kayak in Glacier Bay. The third way to explore Glacier Bay is by your own private boat. Park Service restricts the number of motorized boats to 25 per day. Boaters are limited to 7 consecutive nights. So if you got enough money to have a big boat like this and you got the time, it's probably a great way to explore Glacier Bay. The fourth way to experience Glacier Bay is to stay at the Glacier Bay Lodge. That's the option we took, and so this video will kind of talk about some of the pros and cons of that approach.
The only way to get to Glacier Bay National Park is by boat or by plane. We took a short 18-minute flight from Juneau to Gustavus for $95. Once you land, you take the green shuttle bus to the lodge. The lodge is really nice. Here is our room.
This is the view out our room. It's awesome. This room is just perfect. There's no TV, no internet.
One of the advantages of staying at the lodge is you get to check out the things around the lodge, like this whale skeleton and the Tlingit Village House. At the lodge is a 1.4-mile forest loop. It's a wonderful little path. We must have walked around it 5 times when we were there.
There's a lot of wildlife in the lodge area.
Oh my God. You should know, you know?
Like a partridge kind of a thing. How you doing?
We were initially very excited about the Bartlett Lake Trail. However, the park rangers really discouraged us from walking on it. They said there's ankle-deep water on most of the trail, and it's not really set up unless you've got knee-high rubber boots. According to the Park Service, the facilities of Bartlett Cove were initially designed to briefly support travelers on their way to the Tidewater glaciers. In other words, the Park Service hasn't focused on trails and things like that. Now they're looking at alternatives to make it more of a destination itself. We walked the first 0.7 miles just to see what it was like, and it was nice. Maybe someday it'll be more of a maintained trail.
Good morning.
Trails always so yeah.
It's a beautiful rainy day. Hot coffee.
The next day, we took a boat tour up Glacier Bay.
We saw sea lions. So what did the polar bear say to the penguin? Nothing, they never met. They're on opposite poles. These look like penguins, but they're called moors. Here they are in the water. This is a puffin.
Oh, there he is. Look. There he goes again.
Here is a humpback whale showing off. There were mountain goats up on the hill. Here is a mama and her baby. We saw grizzly bears in several locations.
And we saw sea otters, which are just about the cutest things you could see. The Tlingit Indians called that noise White Thunder. That's easy for me to remember because that was my nickname in high school. Now we're going to give you some recommendations if you decide to tour Glacier Bay. First recommendation is expect to get wet. Everybody except maybe a teenager would bring a rain jacket, but we saw a lot of people with rain pants as well, and that seemed to be a good idea. But other things too, like a cover for your camera, try and keep it dry, and lens cleaner. They don't call it a temperate rainforest for nothing. If you plan to go hiking, bring along some knee-high rubber boots. Another recommendation would be to take the ferry at least one of the ways between Juneau and Glacier Bay. Our traveling companions did, and they got to see some orca whales and other things, and that might be a nice thing to do. Expect a whirlwind trip. Most people just stay 1 or 2 nights. You end up taking all your meals at the same restaurant. You can go back to town, but that's like 15 miles away, and so it's just easier to stay there. So to summarize, Glacier Bay National Park is all about glaciers and water. We had a great time. We'd recommend visiting Glacier Bay National Park.